it's Shabes, and welcome to another edition of AniTube Digest, where we go over the best and not so best anime YouTube videos to come out this week, from the 5th of January to the 11th of January. First for the video that I thought it was not good, and this is a more of softball on me. It's more like, I know you can do much better than that, and I just think he missed the mark. Totally not Mark here. Totally Not Mark came out with a video, The Hidden Genius of Dragon Ball's Music, and he mostly does like reviews type stuff, but I really enjoyed his video a while back on redrawing, kind of fixing at Dragon Ball Super's bad artwork, and that sounds like really bad, like yikes, kind of from, some anime fans, but it had a lot of great information. He seemed to really know what he was talking about. I think it was a collaboration with Anime AJ, who really knows what he's talking about. And it was a good video. I really, really liked it. I don't know if I saw the second one of that. I think it was the second installment maybe. But I really liked what I saw of that. But otherwise, I don't really watch many of his reviews because, it doesn't have much utility to me personally. It's been just about Dragon Ball Super, and One Piece. He just recently went all the way through of, but I haven't seen One Piece, so that wouldn't have much utility to me. But I wanted to check this video out because I thought it was like kind of a cool little analysis thing and something I don't hear anyone talk about for such a popular series, right? And I like that he's making this video, and he talks about how this is based on the idea that Dragon Ball Super not only had really bad animation at the beginning of the production, but also didn't have the best music implementation either. And a lot of fans have had complaints of the composer's not a good composer and things like that. And he's kind of making a defense video of sorts, being like, that it got better here later for this and this reason. And he, talks about various things. But this is where I think it kind of falls short here. Is it's a long video. It's 23 minutes. I guess it's not like long, right? But it's chunky. It's not trying to be brief or anything. But I don't think by the time I finished it, I really got an understanding of what the problem was, or kind of the narrative here. We heard about how like the music got better all the way through Broly, and maybe it was because he couldn't feature a lot of the music, maybe, but he did feature a good deal of the music, especially this very long chunk about Dragon Ball Z. Talking about King Piccolo's theme, which I thought was interesting. It was a good analysis, but like, I don't know what, maybe it was to illustrate his points about Super, but I thought the initial hook, this premise of like the music in Super wasn't that good and it got better later, I thought that was not very well resolved by the end of it. I don't think I got a full understanding of it, of like what the soundtrack is like, and how it's used, and how was it poorly used in Super. I think you need to go further than just one example, like one bad example that he keeps citing like 3 or 4 times. I just didn't get a lot of information out of it to that initial concept, which I am interested in. I like that idea of a long-running show getting better as it goes along in terms of its music implementation and even making new compositions. Kind of that being a music composer on the fly for a long-running series like that is interesting to me. And I like hearing that a series improves itself over time like that. Because it does go again, when you think about it, it kind of goes against that preconception people have where, the first episode is indicative of the rest of the series. Well, not necessarily. It could be a very good first episode and then it kind of falls apart later based on some behind-the-scenes stuff. Not even talking narratively. I'm just talking on a production standpoint. And it can be the same inverse. The same thing that happened with Dragon Ball Super. I think a lot of people were on board with it by the time it had its last 2 or 3 arcs, It just had a very, very infamous rocky start. But yeah, I don't feel like I got a whole lot of it, and it's hard for me to parse a lot of information besides that. The one thing that was kind of also frustrating with me, and kind of why this is less of a decent with an asterisk and more of a not good for me personally, is the amount of attention on the editing. I think he has an editor here, so I don't mean to throw him under the bus, but he does call himself, the editor calls attention to themselves like editor's note, he had this. There was this note where he said he ran out of footage, and so here's some drawings instead. What? How do you run out of footage? Do you get more footage? Like, that doesn't make sense to me, especially for a series like Dragon Ball, Dragon Ball Z, and Dragon Ball Super. Well, what do you mean you ran out of footage? And not only that, but like, how could you have run out of footage when the majority of the video is stills? It's screenshots, and it's like zooming in and panning and, you know, just using individual clips like that. It's easy as hell. And like, I get it, it's very economic in that, and you're also doing it to avoid copyright, sure. I feel like that's not. I feel like, you know, if Toei's gonna take your video down, they'll want to anyway, either way. But anyway, it's easy. I don't know. I feel like that you ran out of clips is weird thing for me, especially with how bare bones the editing was here. There was some really cool moments with describing like the Piccolo section with that part. It felt like it was from a different video where it had like some significant composition, some nice editing going on, and effects and things like that. And it felt like a completely different video, to be honest with you. But yeah, it was weird. I wasn't the biggest fan of this, but it's not like a total like hostility against Mark or anything, or the editor here. It was just things like that stuck out to me that I was like, huh, yeah, I don't get that. I don't understand. And, you know, maybe that's full of context, but that's someone as a viewer, right? That at least I glean as someone who makes their own videos and things like that. I'm like, what do you? Also, like, this was I was watching this as I was like converting and downloading a bunch of footage for this video that I'm going to start working on. And it's very daunting, but I could just use a bunch of screen caps, but I don't want to, you know. I would want to like kind of make it a visually engaging experience, and my subscribers, at least I think, expect better of that out of my content. So it's like, it was really discouraging to see a video like this and having that degree of effort to it, and then like seeing what I'm doing, like, why should I try? You know, it's just really discouraging. That's just me personally. I get the choices and the limitations and things like that. You're trying to be more cautious with copyright, but you know, yeah, that's just my thoughts on it though. But I'm happy he talked about it, but I think it was just a miss. Let's go over a request video. This one's from Victor. He wanted me to talk about this channel, Karameru. It's been a while with the Japanese. I think it's Karameru. I think it is, yeah. Matatabi Movie Labo. And this is episode 2 he wanted me to check out, but there's 4 episodes of this out on this person's channel. And it seems that they do all the animation and all the voice work and stuff. It's a full anime. And Victor wanted me to talk about it because he's frustrated that my anime list doesn't have it listed on their site because it's original, I guess, or it's on only YouTube and something. But it's like, it is Japanese and it's for a Japanese audience, so I'd consider it anime. So that is discouraging. But you know, wanted me to talk about it here. Not that I don't think I don't know if I'd be able to make any waves in that sense of getting it on Mal or AniList or something like that. But yeah, for what this is, I really do think this is an anime in a way, and I not even with quotations, just it is. But yeah, this is the second episode. The omnibus looks delicious, and I don't even remember there is an omnibus in this. I don't know what that's referring to in this episode. This is a kind of a sketch comedy skit thing. A lot of different vignettes, I guess, of comedy, and I think the guy's doing all the voice work too, and it's really funny. Not super inventive, creative. Like it is kind of economic with the animation with you know, doing the same lip flaps and cutting away back and forth 2 different compositions and things like that. But it still looks nice. It's not like it's shitty MS Paint or whatever, you know, or anything like that. I think it looks really nice, but still very economic and not trying to be razzle dazzle with the animation, you know. I like the style of comedy with this, where it had like the juxtaposition of performative um, Japanese comedy, I guess, where they have the very declarative statements, or script. I guess it's very scripted, versus what sounds like very natural dialogue, clashing with that. So, the very deadpan and talking very kind of repeating themselves a lot. Like I don't really want to imitate any of it, to be honest with you. But that mix is really interesting, and funny. I at least really enjoyed it, and the animation's very expressive and lively. The character design here, it's kind of just plays with the same different, only with different animals and things. I think it's really cute and funny, and I've only seen this episode, but it didn't feel like it didn't feel like 10 minutes. It was it felt really great. It yeah, I really enjoyed it. It's too bad it's not on a list that you can like market pretty much. But yeah, I mean, check it out, you guys. Yeah, I think it's awesome. Okay, let me talk about a video that I thought was decent with an asterisk. As in, I have a lot to say about not a lot, I guess, maybe a good deal. But it's like there's enough here that I was like, yeah, this was a pretty good video, but it was frustrating to watch at points. And then thank you, Hiding in Public, for turning me to this guy. Dylan the Night Owl talked about the art and history of AMVs. And he's talked about anime and anime-related stuff in the past, but it's not like his main focus. But in describing his history with AMVs, I could tell it's like, yeah, he gets it. He's made. I was happy. I was encouraged to hear that he's made them before, and like he doesn't have any saved or whatever, and that's understandable. But that was a good thing to begin this with, a contextualization of like I grew up with these, and I started making a couple myself and things like that. So I was expecting a lot of kind of personal insight, I guess. So they may have inflated my expectations a little too much here, because for the most part, it's kind of general history, and like talking about the Ava Ode to Joy, like one of those earlier ones, with the VHS tape and things like that. I was happy. I was like, if he doesn't mention that, you failed. It's like that's like one of the few historical bits of AMV information that at least I know of, and I'm not trying to come off as an AMV historian or connoisseur or anything like that. But I was hoping for something a little more substantial than what I got here. Again, I do like that he's talking about it, and I thought the best part of this video, very long 50-minute video, was talking about AMV hell, which took up about a third, or felt like a third, maybe like a quarter of the video, and describing the history of that and providing quotes from the creators, and also comparing the kind of the evolution of them. Like the first couple, like he's like AMV hell, then this is where they were coming from and why they made it, and then the sequel and how they improved upon it and what changed and things like that. And you could see that artistic growth throughout it, and that felt like a genuine historical thing and something really interesting. And so I thought that was the best part of the video, personally, and I wish it was more of that. But a lot of it was stretched out with just showing you cool AMVs and kind of getting you to understand how cool they are, I guess. And he uses the word, like, he uses the phrase "for comedic effect" like 5 times. And it's like, you could use different words. I don't know. It was just like noticeable to me personally, as someone who makes these kinds of videos. Just to keep in mind how often you might be repeating something. You have to be very conscientious of that, because it can kind of get memeified a little bit, in a more distracting way than like informative, I guess. But I don't know if that probably sounded like bullshit. I'm sorry. I don't like when people like repeat themselves a bunch of times, I guess. Not that, I guess, okay. So like I repeat myself a bunch of times, but that's because I'm unscripted here. And like, I'm not trying to, I didn't write any notes this week. Sometimes I take notes. But like for a scripted video, it's something that like, that's something you can pick up and tweak, and I don't know. Personally. But like, it was mostly just check out this AMV, and he shows you like 20 seconds of it or something. And it was just felt, that was that chunk of the video that felt very repetitive, and and there was no segues to any of them. It's like, but I hear you like Death Note, and I'm like, what does that have to do with what you were just talking about? And there's no, like, he's kind of hopping all over the place. It didn't feel like a smooth through line. It felt like a daisy chain, I guess, of one after the other type of thing. And a lot of them I had heard of before, of course. But it's like, I wish you could have talked about like the kind of the headspace of making an AMV, what you want to try to do. As someone who makes AMVs myself, it's like the phenomenon of retelling the anime, but synchronized it to music. That can be kind of a frame of mind that you can kind of get stuck in, and be like, yeah, I'm just kind of repackaging and retelling this thing in this kind of neat form, but it's very derivative content, versus like trying to make something very abstract and new out of it, which he does mention a couple AMVs that are examples that like are making completely entirely new narratives, or things like that. But I don't know, it's hard. It was hard for me to be. It's like, oh, the editing is so this, and it's like, well, what is he doing? He's masking this character, and I don't know, kind of like a disillusionment of things, and just be like, anybody can do this. And he says that he says that several times. How like it was kind of an open source sort of thing, but like, I don't know. I think whenever he brought up an AMV as an example, he never really talked about what it was doing specifically that was so interesting or good, besides like, it's so good, or it's so funny, or it's so what the fuck, or something like that. I didn't get a whole lot of substance out of that in that way. And it was very long in that way, because it's like, if it wasn't, they're not really building each other or adding other points in that way. And so it was a lot of sporadic points that I was like, this could have been a couple of videos, or it could have just been this. I would have loved to just be the AMV hell section. It would have been one of my favorite videos this week, if not the best one. But it's kind of stuck in this very long, overdrawn video, in my opinion. And I kind of don't. There's two other last things that I took away that I wasn't so happy about. Was the kind of the conclusion of how it's this nostalgic thing, and reminds him of old, and that's nice, but like, it's sort of it felt like a cliche, because a lot of people have that sentiment about AMVs when people are still making them, and actively, and they're not getting the traction that they would. And oh, there's another weird thing. I don't know why he bothered with this, but like, he kept like bringing up these very, very, very famous AMVs. Like, this is the most popular AMV. It's this video called this. It has this many views. I'm like, what is this, a database? Like, I don't know it felt like random trivia, and it's like, okay, why bring that up? And I don't know. And he also like brings up the most popular Sonic AMV, and he points out how weird it is that this one has the most views, but it's not really doing anything all that special or interesting. And then he just leaves it at that. And it's just like, oh, that's weird. It's like, yeah, why? I mean, you don't have to answer it, right? But like, maybe one speculative thought, it's just like, maybe it was because it's tapping into this character, or doing this, or the juxtaposition of these cartoony characters to this heavy death metal or something. Like, something. I don't know. It was just strange. What was the thing I was saying? Yeah, I wasn't the biggest fan of seeming to completely ignore the current day, and like the things that are being done now, and it's like, it's still alive. It made it feel like he made it kind of feel like it was a retro thing, a thing of the past. And it's like, come on, man. It was disappointing to hear, as someone who loves making AMVs still, and is trying to kind of do different things with them. Like, I mean, I hate to keep plugging my shit, I guess, but like, I made an entire video I made two. I've made two AMV series, or at least coordinated two of them, to take an entire album and making an AMV out of each track of the album, so you are able to experience the album in a different way, or in a visual way, right? I don't know anyone that's done that before, and like, I don't know, other things like that. It was just kind of discouraging, I guess. It was like, yeah, I mean, geez, not like I need him to talk about my stuff or anything like that, not like that, but some acknowledgement that this is still being done. Personally, not like 2017 done. I mean, like, still being done. 3 years later, it's still a thing. But the other thing is having to do with the thumbnail, because it's making it out to be like, oh, Daikon is its own kind of AMV, and that's sort of what he's getting at. But like I was shouting like mentally, being like, animation, just making your own fan animation and AMVs are not the same thing. It's just not. Ultimately AMVs are derivative media, and the Daikon animations are not derivative media. It is taking copyrighted characters that they didn't have the rights to, but like they're completely drawing it into new context, and it's more than transformative. It's literally its own thing. Like, just because another anime that isn't Daikon, for example, makes a parody of Gundam or kaiju thing or something like that, that doesn't make it an AMV, right? Just because it has other things from other media, that doesn't really factor the same way. Or even if you say it's with the same spirit, again, it's like, no. Also, the other thing that he kind of alludes to, and he made it sound like Daikon 4 was a fan animation. Daikon 3 was a fan animation, and then they got hired by the people what was the studio? It's not Sunrise. It might be Sunrise. No, the studio who made Macros. I forget. I'm sorry. Artland. I think it may have been Artland. Yeah, but like, they got hired as actual animators from Daikon 3, and they became professional. Like, so they were pros in the traditional sense. Like, they had a professional job in the industry. They worked on Macros. They were anime, and then they went back and did Daikon 4, which is why it was so much better. Because they got experience. 3 was a fan animation, 100%. But 4 was, it's kind of a gray area where they're professional animators at that point, but it is still for a fan convention. But that was something that was kind of annoying to me, and it is just, as someone who has covered this subject in one of my own videos, it was just like, and it, other things like that. So, hard for me to see this with a very biased perspective, but I'm very happy I checked it out, and again, ultimately, I think it was a good video, very informative, specifically with the AMV hell stuff and the history of that. I thought that was great. But yeah, that was that video. Pretty cool. And for the rest of the videos I thought were decent, I watched a Manime Matt video on Tentacles and Witches, the most popular show no one's watched. I don't really get where the popular show no one's watched stat idea comes from. It might just be kind of whatever. But this seems to be kind of a joke video, talking about this particular hentai, which he never explicitly says is a hentai until like the very, very end. But given the description and the fact that he would omit some details and omit some visuals sometimes, it's like, oh, this is okay. I see what you're getting at. But he plays it very straight here, to where, like, maybe I would have been fooled. I'm not very good at detecting that sort of thing with sarcasm and things like that. I don't know how earnest he actually felt about this, and because it seems like it was a thing like, oh, if Biden won the election, he would do an anime review on this hentai, I guess. Okay. But I am happy he was able to talk about this something like this earnestly, poke fun at it a little bit, but ultimately talking earnestly about it. And not like totally being cynical and whatever like that. I think he had it in good fun here. And if a lot of it was kind of bullshit or playing a character, I guess. And it wasn't that he was playing a character; it was more of playing himself as if he was talking about a show he genuinely feels these things about, I guess. So kind of a poker face type of thing. So I thought he did a decent job with it, and I hadn't heard of this show before, so yeah, I liked it. It was cool. And I did end up liking this Scamboli video on I found the worst rated anime on the internet. Even though I think a previous me, you would think it's kind of hypocritical of me to, because like I don't like him shitting on. It's not like I outright don't like him shitting on stuff. It's more like it doesn't sound like he's having fun talking about, and it feels like very cynical, like kind of very hyper nitpicky and things like that. Just the way he like, again, that Haikyuu video that I ranted about, it was because it's supposed to be a positive review. He liked the show, and it just didn't sound like he liked anime, and just had a lot of complaints about it, I guess. It was just like, a lot of general talking points and things like that I was very tired of at that point. But I'm not outright against, and I've also riffed on Bennett the Sage and stuff. But like, I've seen Vampire Homes. I actually have. I actually saw it when it came out. So, I get it. He really is just describing what happens, and he's not like, omitting details and trying to kind of paint it in a different light for comedic effect or anything. He is genuine about this stuff, and he's covering Mars of Destruction. Most of the video is about Dark Cat, I believe was the name of the show, of the anime. And then Vampire Homes at the end. But I also liked the kind of the observations he had at the very end, where he's like, I watched a lot of this bad stuff that like I thought would be kind of funny, but it was really just bad in a way that was like, yeah, it just doesn't put you in a good mood. It's not fun. And that's in that black. He had like a bar here, and there was like a further back, and there's like a sweet spot of like so bad it's good type of thing. Even though I kind of don't totally believe that, it's like it sounded like Vampire Homes genuinely made him laugh a couple of times. Even though a lot of the aspects are on their face very poor, the art and the what have you. But I like that he described this journey and had kind of the Wind Waker thing and is going out on this journey and stuff, and going out of his comfort zone in that way to kind of actively go out and look for bad stuff, I suppose. Because it's like, the diamonds in the rough type of thing, and actually doing that searching that I was complaining about with his Haikyuu video. I felt all that kind of was melted away, and I felt like there was a growth there, if not in the bad way, but growth in his content. I just felt like he was a little funnier here, sharper observations. I liked the thing he was doing at some points where he had recorded himself reacting to it as it was going on, and like there was like one part where it's like, pick that up right now, and he's like, the leaves, and like cuts to the mash cuts to like the zoom in of the leaves and stuff. Stuff like that was funny. So yeah, I thought it was funnier here, and it didn't feel like he was being really brutally negative about it or pessimistic or it's so bad or anything like that. I thought he had a tact to him here that I appreciated, and it felt like, he had some awareness and of what he was doing and things like that, I guess. And I like that he was giving him 7s for enjoyment, I guess. And it's like, yeah, but I wouldn't really suggest you go out and watch it type of thing. Yeah, because there is media like that you're going to want to talk about that, no matter what, it's like, yeah, I have this thing I'm going to talk about. So, yeah, but sorry if this is really all over the place and kind of rambly, I guess. But yeah, I did enjoy this video. I did like it. So this was kind of surprising. The Netflix Anime YouTube channel, which I wasn't actually subscribed to at that point because it's just clips usually. I knew they had been starting to do some collab stuff with Gigguk and CDawg and Anime Man and Aki, specifically. and it just as a partnership thing. So this was first time they kind of had him in action, I guess. It's be kind of like, what is this sort of thing? But I enjoyed it actually. Mostly on Gart and Connor being like really funny and personable with each other, and with the kind of the scenario they were doing. They didn't like, it didn't feel forced in any way, because like they're on a set. They're on two different sets and stuff, and it was very over dramatic and it felt very polished, like a Netflix type of production. And there was a whole list of credits and things like that. But they really had these very down to earth, like self-aware, like they're just talking as bros and riffing out on this list of sorts. So they had this ranking reveal. I guess they had this poll somewhere. I don't know, but the fans, I guess, ranked their favorite characters from the Seven Deadly Sins. So it's like arbitrary fan ranking video. I don't give a shit, right? But like the amount of production detail here, but just like the structure as well, where like Gart and Connor just are talking about like some of their favorite characters, and some of them they don't like as much, and it felt like a very natural conversation. And they kept all of that in. It didn't feel manipulated in any way. And it was funny because it actually contrasts to what the actual rankings were. And so like when they actually went to announce the top 5, they were actually like finding out for themselves too. They weren't just like telling you. They were kind of presenting it, similar to like the Oscars or something, where like the people presenting don't even know what's in the envelope. And so it was really funny where like they had this like epic number 5 and then like a little highlight reel of the character, and then the two of them are just like, oh, it's like this very not the reaction you would expect from this kind of video. And it was really interesting and funny, but just the general, it was just very strange that Netflix is doing all of this production and the sets and things like that, and the multiple camera angles and things. It's like, whoa, for like a character ranking, like whatever, dude. I just thought that was really weird and interesting to bring up, but I didn't hate it. I enjoyed watching it, mainly because, you know, I've been I listen to Trash Taste almost every week, kind of thing, and it's a good time. But yeah, no, that was strangely enjoyable. Strangely enjoyable. Okay, and now what I thought were the best videos of the week, and we're gonna start with recurring character CDawgVA from the last video I just talked about. Doing another one of these Japanese cultural things where he joins a Japanese visual kei band. And I probably had heard of this a little bit, like this idea of visual kei as an aesthetic. It's an aesthetic that can be applied to any musical group, and it's not just like it's metal or something. The band that he was with just happened to be a metal band, but they are adopting visual kei, which has, you know, a whole general aesthetic to it, and also talked about how they generally make money. They talked about the challenges in performing live during a pandemic and what that changes had to be like. I thought that was a really creative solution they had there. It wasn't just virtual or anything. Instead of like screaming or projecting with verbally, you just make a bunch of noise with whatever you bring. And the majority of people in this particular concert brought a bunch of those rubber chickens that like scream a lot. I thought that was really funny, and a good circumvent to show fan, and kind of the differences of like an American concert versus a Japanese concert. It's not like what we picture exactly. And it's Connor kind of experiencing it firsthand, and having the commentary was really great. And at this point, you know, they've been doing a couple of these, which I'm happy about. They're all really interesting and great and very well produced. So they're always going to constantly be, you know, in this higher tier for me, because they're always very enjoyable. Most specifically, always because of Connor's willingness to do this, like unflinching willingness to do all of this stuff while being very honestly terrified or unwilling to do these things. Like, nope, that's for the video. It's for the video. But he's completely accepting and willing to do everything, even though all of it's very difficult for him and embarrassed. He's very embarrassed for a lot of it. And he's very vocally, not just like in the video in his own inner narration of sorts, but he tells people, and he tells people what he feels. And I think that's really nice and honest of him. But still very, very cordial and like, you know, not trying to dismiss anything or judge any of this. I think he's a very great personality for this sort of content. I really wouldn't want anyone else doing this. I think he does a great job being poking fun at himself, and being honest at what he's doing. I guess not like being going all in either, and not like suddenly he's the best at this thing or whatever. He's not like some uber talented sort of thing. I think he does. This is his talent. That's the thing. I like how often he's professing that he's not talented like these guys are, but there is a talent to doing things that you're uncomfortable with on camera, as well as a culture that you don't speak much of the language. You speak some of it. You speak enough to get by, but especially as a foreigner, I think that adds another layer to it. And I think everything else around this is great. I feel like I'm being very redundant every time I talk about one of these videos. It's kind of the same thing, but like it's all different and they're enjoyable every single time. I don't know what to tell you. And I don't know what it is. It's like with Digest, I try not to like talk about the same videos every week or like so it ends up being kind of the same stuff. But like it's with Connor, this series is every video feels, every one of this in this and this style of video feels so isolated and unique, but being in the same group, I guess. So it doesn't feel redundant to me to talk about this stuff, even though objectively it is kind of redundant to talk about, not to watch. I'm not trying to say this is redundant. The content itself is redundant, not at all. I just like it a lot, you know. I just want to keep talking about it. I just really enjoy these almost every time. Yeah, it's great. I gotta tell you guys, I didn't have a whole lot of videos this week that was really piquing my interest, and so I scrolled back down, all the way through the week and be like, what did I miss? Maybe I should give something a chance. And especially just because I don't know what it was. It was hard for me to. I didn't feel so great about this particular stretch of videos because all the videos I just talked about previously were in the categories they were, and it was just going to be that CDawgVA video and this other one that I'll talk about at the end that were going to be in the best one. And I was like, really? There wasn't that much that came out, you know? And so like, I gotta go back and look. And, you know, I decided to give Eden's video a chance. I haven't talked about his videos in a while, I suppose. You know, I may have watched one of them and then like just didn't have anything to say. So I may not have even mentioned it. But I forget which one that was. Sorry. But I watched his video, Gacha Games Are Now Cancelled. And I really like the structure of this video too, with first of all like asking his followers on Twitter, and then playing each of the games kind of one by one. I thought that was a good way of structuring the video. But I think I'd be praising Eden for the same things every time. But like, there's something about watching his videos versus watching Totally Not Mark's video, where it's a lot of, you know, when it's still images. Eden is like literally one of the best people at doing this. He's just getting better and better at like choosing different images every time. He's not using the same reaction images that often. You know, he has his own avatar that he uses multiple times, but like reaction faces wise, he's not just using the same ones over and over. Or he's using 3 in a row, like for the same period of the same 2 seconds. He's just rapid fires through them in that way. The amount of effort he's putting into the editing is really great, for being a bunch of just pictures and the various images and stuff like that. He's keeping it very engaging. Not a lot of people, I think, get that, you know, when they're starting out and making videos like this. It's not just putting the thing on screen or whatever. It's bulging it, twisting it, you know, making it interesting and using text. And yeah, I think Eden's just getting better and better at this. It stinks that, you know, recently it's difficult to find things to talk about, but, you with that writer's block. But I think once he gets something like this, I think it's very successful. And, I thought it was interesting despite, the thing that came to my mind, and this is the case with the other one I'm going to talk in a second, that was the other one that I was like, oh, I should probably watch that video too. For both of them, it was like, I don't necessarily care about the subject matter, but because it's you talking about it, you can get me to care about it. Because you have this particular wit and energy that is interesting and engaging and not boring. It doesn't feel like a chore. Unfortunately, with Digest, I love doing it, but it feels like a chore sometimes. Sometimes, kind of a lot of the time, to be honest with you. And it is not because, I don't know if it's like because I make anime YouTube videos and that weird dissonance that Gig would talk about in Trash Taste earlier of why he doesn't watch that many anime YouTube videos. It is a weird dissonance, and I feel that same way. And sometimes, I don't really feel motivated to watch any of these videos on this list, but I would because I want to keep putting out Digest. But it's always with Eden, and it's almost all the time. It's like, this is fun. It's just chill. It kind of unlatches that like this is an obligation I'm doing. I'm forcing myself to do this. I don't feel that way watching Eden's videos, and I really appreciate that. And there's a je ne sais quoi about that, I suppose. It's a mix of his humor and just keeping the video moving and not bogging it down with bullshit. Thank God. But I always enjoy his stuff. It's good stuff. But then the other one was Core. It really is the case where like I could watch a video of his and it wouldn't matter what it's about really. It's just that like I passed this up at first because the aesthetic of narrative is kind of a YouTuber-y title, I'm like, fine, whatever, man, and VTubers, I'm not as much into VTubers as Core is. But I watched it because it's like, I know it's Core. It's probably going to be good. So, and it was just in a way to be like, I need some good videos here. I need some guaranteed bops. So, I went in and I like the reflection that Core was having on his previous video on VTubers and kind of the evolving perspective he has on it and why he's making this video addressing some claims and things like that. Just kind of capturing that headspace he's in right now as January 2021 type of thing and letting me know what he's thinking. And it's not just about the subject. It really is kind of like the thing that what's going through his mind these days. I like the fact that he's, this got him to catch up more on pick Japanese back up, and he's showing you his progress and things like that. That was really great. And it's interesting what I just said about that, about with Core and his videos here, reminds me a lot of what he was talking about in this video, about the narrative that we are attracted to as people who watch a lot of YouTube or streamers, where it's less about the content and more about the person saying it. And we care about what they have to say about this subject, or we don't really care what they're talking about. We just want to hear content from them and the way they use music or the way they talk or the things that's engaging or interesting, or maybe just their narrative. And like, I'm surprised Core didn't mention Digi when it came to like this idea of treating people's lives as story arcs or seasons. I feel like we've done that very avidly with Digi as a creator over the years. And then she's not even a streamer at that point. But streamers, I'm sure you have that as well. And it didn't feel like as much about VTubers as it was about internet consuming culture as a whole. So, I liked that video a good deal. I'm sorry I passed it up like the first time I saw it in my inbox, but what it be? I did enjoy watching it. It was, again, guaranteed bop. It's the same thing I said with Eden, where I can just enjoy a Core video, and it doesn't really matter what he's talking about. It's the way, it's the same thing. And I just know I can kind of unlatch that thing with Digest, and it's like, all right, I don't have to think about this. It's like, oh, this is a video for Digest. This is just me watching a friend of mine make watching a video my friend made. It feels more like that, and I really prefer that these days. But maybe that's why I want to be personable with as many other YouTubers as possible, so that it can feel like, nice one you made there, man, and less like this guy's video, this dude's video. It feels less like that and more like a personable connection, I guess. And at least that's what I take out of it, what I like about it, at least. But yeah, nice video, of course. I expected as much. And the best one, it's the best one. I there's always a last video, and I always make that the quote unquote best, but it doesn't really feel that way for this particular one. All the best ones were really cool. But I guess the last one I'll talk about today is little Kuriboh's newest episode on Yu-Gi-Oh! Abridged. It's literally, the title is just called Episode 83, A Grand Day In. He doesn't even put like YGOTAS or anything. Maybe because like it was kind of weird, actually. There was a lot of like, you can tell he's been doing this a very long time. And there was this like, that very, very long running joke of playing Sexy Back by Justin Timberlake during every single time that Duke Devlin is his name, I believe, the dice guy. Every time he would talk, he would have a line. There would be that in the background, and he's like, and it's like, yeah, YouTube doesn't want us to do that anymore. And there was just kind of a lampshaded, yeah, we can't do that anymore type of thing. That was funny. And I think I've said this about his other episodes beforehand. I'm not like an avid watcher of his, but I have seen it over the years, of course. I've said this in other places, but like, he really has the one thing about a bridge series that I don't think a lot of people appreciate, is that he is constantly doing new stuff, new jokes, and then new recurring jokes within just that one episode. It wouldn't be trying to be like doing a bunch of memeable lines or something like that, or immediately put him on a t-shirt like fucking Team 4-Star. Like they would like, this, like, I swear, maybe I made this up. Maybe I just imagined this. But I swear they had a moment in like the last season of DBZA when they had a Vegeta say something, and they knew it would be people would want it on a t-shirt. So they already had it. They already had the merch ready. It's like it happened this episode. Like maybe that's like smart of them, but it just felt so commercial and commodified, and maybe that's part of the joke. Maybe you're in on it or something, but like I really got turned off by that personally. I was like, you're really trying to commodify this crap, and but I just think Kuriboh is consistently really funny here, and it's just very basic stuff, like making this new character have a funny voice. That's it, and this is this whole kids thing and everything. It's really simple to do this stuff, and he's showing. I think it's a great example of what it should be, instead of the kind of the grand delusional narratives that I think Sword Art Online Abridged and DBZA kind of fostered. And yeah, to very good success. But I guess it's what I'm trying to say is you can't beat the classics. Can't beat the classics, But I just had the most fun time with this. It was consistently really funny. I will say, it has the one thing that I don't like about those newer abridged. It doesn't feel like an abridged, because it's 26. It's the length of a TV episode, and I think he's adapting maybe like one. He's definitely adapting one, but it might have been 2 episodes. But it felt like one, and it was like, are you really just gonna? That's not an abridged then. It's like the part of the abridged is that it's short. It's an abridged. It's 8 minutes, or it's shorter than that. I don't know. It didn't feel like that way. That was kind of the one modern pitfall that I think this fell into. It went on for way too long. Again, I think he's consistently funny anyway. So I was like, yeah, I like the moment I started thinking, yeah, this has been going on too long. He got me again with another joke. And I'm like, okay, I guess I can forgive it. I guess it's fine. But it really is that, like, come on, man. The brevity is the soul of wit, I believe is the quote. Wish he could have maybe cut some jokes or something, or really tightened some stuff up, but what can you do? Again, I'm happy to see that. I do always like his stuff a good deal. And that'll do it for this installment of AniTube Digest. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you to my patrons, including Austin, Beamburst, Boo, Hazel, Kuiper, MyAnimePod, Najbeb, Saxon, Unique Nameosaurus, Victor, and Yellow Cheese. You guys are great. You have a great week. Yo, peace.